going to explore a topic that I believe many people experience every single day, yet few truly understand at its deepest biological level how stress and sleep deprivation affect the skin. When we talk about stress, we often think of fatigue, headache, muscle tension, rapid heartbeat, and anxiety. When we talk about lack of sleep, we think of dark circles, puffiness, dull skin, and a loss of vitality. However, the signs we see in the mirror are only the visible surface of a much more complex biological disruption occurring inside the body. The skin is not simply an outer covering for aesthetic purpose. It's the largest organ in the body, and more importantly, it's the fully integrated neuroendocrine immune organ. This means the skin does not merely receive signals from the brain. It can process them, respond to them, and even produce biological mediator on its own. Within the skin are hormone receptors that are sensitive to cortisol, adrenaline, estrogen, and androgen. The skin contains a peripheral nervous system composed of sensory nerve fiber and neuropeptide capable of regulating inflammation. Its other local immune system include Langerhans cell, mast cell, macrophage, and a complex cytokine network. Remarkably, the skin can even produce cortisol through a local system analogous to the brain HPA assist. Furthermore, the skin has its own circadian clock operating according to the day-night rhythm and controlling regeneration, repair, and recovery processes. Therefore, when you experience stress, the skin is not passively affected. The skin actively participates in the stress response. When the HPA axis consisting of the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal gland is activated. Cortisol level raised in the bloodstream. Simultaneously, neuroinflammatory mechanisms are activated within the skin, releasing substance P, CGRP, and numerous pro-inflammatory cytokines. This increases sebum production, disrupt the skin barrier, trigger oxidative stress, and damage mitochondria. And when you lack sleep, the skin does not simply look tired. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released in large amount, stimulating collagen synthesis and DNA repair. If sleep is shortened and fragmented autophagy, the mechanism responsible for clearing damaged cellular components, declined. Mitochondria function less efficiently and generates more free radical. Telomere, the protective cap at the end of chromosomes, shorten more rapidly. These changes not only accelerate skin aging but also influence epigenetic, meaning they affect how genes related to inflammation and aging are turned on or off over time. Today, we will analyze this entire cascade of reactions from the HPA axis, cortisol, neuroinflammation, oxidative stress, mitochondria, autophagy, and telomere, to epigenetic and the concept of biological aging. Once we understand the deeper nature of this process, we will no longer view stress and sleep deprivation as temporary conditions, but as factors capable of reprogramming the skin at the molecular level. And that is precisely why managing stress and optimizing sleep are not just matter of mental well-being, but foundational pillar of a comprehensive anti-aging skin strategy. When you experience pressure, whether it's a demanding work deadline, prolonged financial strain, or unresolved emotional conflict, the brain does not distinguish between survival threat and psychological threat. To the central nervous system, all perceived danger are processed through an ancient survival mechanism, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis or HPA axis. This axis is the master regulator of the body's stress response. The process unfolds through a highly precise hormonal signaling cascade. First, the hypothalamus releases CRH, corticotropin releasing hormone. CRH then stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. ACTH enters the bloodstream and acts on the adrenal gland, prompting the adrenal cortex to produce cortisol. Cortisol is the primary hormone of the stress response and plays a vital role in survival. It increases blood glucose level by stimulating gluconeogenesis in the liver. Mobilize fatty acids and amino acids for energy production, raise blood pressure to ensure adequate blood flow to the brain and muscle, and temporarily suppresses systems that are not essential for immediate survival, such as reproduction and certain aspects of immune function. Is short-term danger. Cortisol is life-saving. It enables the body to fight or flee efficiently. However, this mechanism was designed for acute stress lasting minutes of hours, not for the chronic psychological stress common in modern society. The problem is that today we often experience stress not for 10 minutes but for 10 months or even 10 years. When cortisol remains chronically elevated, it shifts from being protective to becoming structurally damaged. Prolonged high cortisol suppresses collagen synthesis, reduces fibroblast proliferation, increase protein breakdown, and thins the epidermis is impaired and skin barrier by disrupting the synthesis of intercellular lipid. At the same time, it alters immune regulation, making the skin more prone to inflammation, irritation, and delayed with healing. Importantly, the skin is not merely a passive target of circulating cortisol. The skin contains glucocorticoid receptor, allowing it to respond directly to this hormone. Even more fascinating, the skin possesses a fully functional peripheral HPA-like axis. Skin cells can produce CRH and ACTH and are capable of synthesizing cortisol locally through steroidogenic enzyme. This means that when you are stressed, not only the adrenal derived cortisol reach the skin, but the skin itself activates an internal stress response loop. In other words, the skin experiences double stress. It is affected by systemic hormonal signal while simultaneously amplifying the stress response locally. This amplification loop provides the biological explanation for why chronic stress can significantly worsen inflammatory acne, atopic dermatitis, rosacea, and accelerate premature skin aging. If collagen represents the structural framework of the skin, then mitochondria are the energy source that sustain every vital function within each skin cell. Mitochondria are responsible for producing ATP through the electron transport chains during oxidative phosphorylation. ATP is not merely fuel, it's an essential prerequisite for vitally or biosynthetic reaction from barrier lipid production and collagen synthesis to DNA repair. However, chronic stress and sleep deprivation directly disrupt mitochondrial function. When cortisol and other stress hormones remain elevated, combined with circadian rhythm misalignment, the electron transport chains become less efficient. Electrons do not pass smoothly through complexes 1 to 4, leading to electron leakage and the formation of superoxide, a highly reactive free radical. The increase in superoxide and other reactive oxygen species, ROS, damage the mitochondrial membrane, oxidize lipids and proteins, and injures mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA. Unlike nuclear DNA, mtDNA has limited protective mechanism and reduced repair capacity, making it particularly vulnerable to mutation accumulation. As mitochondrial damage progresses, ATP production declined. This energy deficit has direct consequence for the skin. Fibroblasts lack sufficient ATP to sustain normal collagen synthesis, slowing dermomestric renewal. Keratinocytes lack the energy required for proper differentiation and lipid barrier formation, resulting in increased water loss and reduced radiance. Cellular membrane repair and protein remodeling processes are also delayed, causing the skin to appear dull, fractured, and slower to recover after injury. Mitochondrial dysfunctions also trigger maladaptive metabolic signaling. When cells sense energy deficiency and oxidative stress, they tend to activate the mTOR pathway, a central regulator of growth and metabolism. Chronic mTOR activation under stress conditions suppresses autophagy, the cell internal cleanup system. Autophagy is essential for removing damaged mitochondria and recycling defective proteins. When autophagy declined, misfolded protein and damaged organelles accumulate within the cell. This accumulation not only reduces cellular efficiency but also promotes chronic low-grade inflammation, further accelerating cellular aging. Over time, a vicious cycle develops. Mitochondrial damage leads to reduced ATP production, increased ROS generations, impaired autophagy, and further mitochondrial dysfunction. This cell perpetuating will form a fundamental biological basis for premature skin aging. Thirst, stress, and sleep deprivation do not merely affect the skin's surface appearance. They directly attack the cellular energy core, undermining the skin's deepest capacity for maintenance, repair, and regeneration. If stress weakens a protective barrier at the epidermal level, its impact damages the layer responsible for firmness and elasticity. Is even deeper and more long-lasting. The damage contains the intricate network of collagens, elastin, and extracellular matrix produced by fibroblasts. This network forms the structural scaffolding that maintains skin tension, resilience, and three-dimensional stability. When cortisol remains chronically elevated, a cascade of molecular changes occur within the dermis. First, cortisol reduces the expression of TGAP, transformation growth factor beta, a crucial growth factor that stimulates fibroblasts to synthesize new collagen. At TGF-beta signaling decline the production of collagen type 1 and type 3, the two most abundant forms of collagen in the dermis, decrease significantly. Stress not only suppresses collagen synthesis but also accelerates its breakdown. Cortisol increases the expression of matrix metalloproteinase (MMPs), particularly MMP1 and MMP9. MMP1 cleaves collagen type 1 fiber, while MMP9 degrades components of the extracellular matrix. Under normal conditions, the body maintains a delicate balance between collagen production and degradation, allowing for physiological tissue remodeling. However, in chronic stress, this balance is profoundly disrupted. The rate of breakdown exceeds the rate of regeneration. As a result, the collagen network gradually loses density and structural integrity. The dermal scaffold weakens from within. It's essential to emphasize that this is not merely superficial aging. It's a structural aging. You may maintain a consistent skincare routine at the surface level, but if the dermal foundation is slightly deteriorating, visible morphological changes will appear earlier than expected. Individuals under prolonged stress often develop wrinkles prematurely, particularly on the forehead and in the nasolabial fold. Skin elasticity declined, partly because elastin fibers are indirectly affected through oxidative stress and increased MMP activity. The cheek and corner of the mouth area heavily dependent on dermal structural support tend to sag more rapidly. When collagen loses integrity, the skin can no longer bounce back. After facial muscle movement, over time, dynamic expressions lie evolve into permanent static wrinkle. Thus, stress does not simply make the skin appear temporarily fatigued. It actively accelerates biological aging by weakening the collagen framework at the molecular level, undermining the very architecture that sustains youthful skin. Alongside stress, sleep deprivation is the second major factor capable of profoundly disrupting the skin biology, particularly through its effect on circadian rhythm. The skin does not function randomly over a 24-hour period. It operates according to an intrinsic biological clock regulated by clock genes such as clock BMAL1, PER, and CRY. This peripheral clock is partially synchronized with the body's central circadian rhythm in the brain, yet it also maintains a degree of local autonomy. During the daytime, the skin prioritizes defense mechanism. Cells increase the expression of genes involving UV protection, enhance melanin production to absorb radiation and neutralize free radicals, and reinforce the barrier against environmental aggressor. In contrast, at night, particularly during deep sleep, the skin shifts into a regenerative state. DNA repair activity rises significantly. Collagen synthesis. If collagen represents the structural framework of the skin, then mitochondria are the energy source that sustain every vital function within each skin cell. Mitochondria are responsible for producing ATP through the electron transport chains during oxidative phosphorylation. ATP is not merely fuel, it's an essential prerequisite for vitally or biosynthetic reaction from barrier lipid production and collagen synthesis to DNA repair. However, chronic stress and sleep deprivation directly disrupt mitochondrial function. When cortisol and other stress hormones remain elevated, combined with circadian rhythm misalignment, the electron transport chains become less efficient. Electrons do not pass smoothly through complexes 1 to 4, leading to electron leakage and the formation of superoxide, a highly reactive free radical. The increase in superoxide and other reactive oxygen species (ROS) damage the mitochondrial membrane, oxidize lipid and proteins, and injures mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA. Unlike nuclear DNA, mtDNA has limited protective mechanism and reduced repair capacity, making it particularly vulnerable to mutation accumulation. As mitochondrial damage progresses, ATP production declined. This energy deficit has direct consequence for the skin. Fibroblasts lack sufficient ATP to sustain normal collagen synthesis, slowing dermomestric renewal. Keratinocytes lack the energy required for proper differentiation and lipid barrier formation, resulting in increased water loss and reduced radiance. Cellular membrane repair and protein remodeling processes are also delayed, causing the skin to appear dull, fatigued, and slower to recover after injury. Mitochondrial dysfunctions also trigger maladaptive metabolic signaling. When cells sense energy deficiency and oxidative stress, they tend to activate the mTOR pathway, a central regulator of growth and metabolism. Chronic mTOR activation under stress conditions suppresses autophagy, the cell internal cleanup system. Autophagy is essential for removing damaged mitochondria and recycling defective proteins. When autophagy declined, misfolded protein and damaged organelles accumulate within the cell. This accumulation not only reduces cellular efficiency but also promotes chronic low-grade inflammation, further accelerating cellular aging. Over time, a vicious cycle develops. Mitochondrial damage leads to reduced ATP production, increased ROS generations, impaired autophagy, and further mitochondrial dysfunction. This self-perpetuating loop forms a fundamental biological basis for premature skin aging. Thirst, stress, and sleep deprivation do not merely affect the skin's surface appearance. They directly attack the cellular energy core, undermining the skin's deepest capacity for maintenance, repair, and regeneration. When we look in the mirror and notice changes in our skin over time, we often attribute everything to one word, aging. However, the biological age of the skin does not perfectly align with chronological age. Skin does not age simply because time passes. Each age faster or slower depending on the internal environment we create each day. Prolonged cortisol elevation from chronic stress continuously send signals that promote collagen's breakdown and weaken the skin barrier. Insufficient melatonin due to late night or poor quality sleep, reduced endogenous antioxidant capacity and interferes with nighttime DNA repair. Mitochondrial dysfunction lower ATP production, leaving cells without sufficient energy to regenerate and maintain optical structure. Chronic low-grade inflammation silently activate NF-κB and pro-inflammatory cytokine, gradually degrading the extracellular matrix. Accelerated telomere shortening under oxidative stress pushes cell into premature senescence, triggering SASB secretion that further amplifies inflammation. All of the mechanisms are interconnected in a complex biological network that ultimately determine the true pace of skin aging. Therefore, if we focus only on external coverage while neglecting internal balance, we are addressing the symptom rather than the root cause. Sustainable beauty does not lie in flawless foundation makeup or a so-called miracle ingredient. It lies in the balanced state of the nervous, endurance, and immune system. When the sympathetic nervous system is no longer chronically overactivated, when the HPA axis follows its natural physiological rhythm, when melatonin is sufficiently secreted at night and growth hormone peak during deep sleep, the skin enters an optimal repair mood. In this state, collagen synthesis becomes more efficient, reactive oxygen species are neutralized more effectively, autophagy process adequately, and cells maintain functional longevity for a longer period. When you sleep adequately, expose yourself to natural morning light, exercise moderately, and manage stress proactively. You are not only improve your overall health, you are reprogramming the biological environment of your skin. The changes may not be as immediate as the visible effect of the cosmetic product, but they are cumulative and sustainable over time. The skin restores itself in a way that no serum can fully replicate because it is the result of millions of coordinated biochemical reactions occurring harmoniously within each cell. Understanding this shift, our perspective on skincare is no longer merely a topical routine, but a lifestyle strategy rooted in physiological balance, where true beauty originates from the stability of the nervous and endocrine system within the body.